This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So this, as you see up on your screen, is my version of Matrix. This is the home screen here. And in the basics class, I went over all of these tabs at the top of the page. Those tabs will always stay there. And that is basically everything pertaining to Matrix that's found in this top banner. In the top banner, you also have our contact information. You have our fax number, our phone number, and our general mailbox email address. There is your Hello tab where you can go to set up any settings. You can go to the Help index and you can log out through there. If you are anywhere else in Matrix and you need to get back to your home screen, all you need to do is just click on the West Penn Multilist logo and it takes you right back to your home screen. Down below here, we have all of these widgets on the screen. Now yours might look a little different than mine because each one of these widgets can be moved around and dragged and dropped wherever you want them to be. The way you would do that is hover over the banner of any one of these widgets till you see that little crosshairs form. You'll left click on your mouse and hold it in and drag and drop it wherever you want. You can also minimize any one of these widgets. There is a minimize tab in each one of the widgets except for the news and alerts. The news and alerts is actually the only widget that you cannot move, you cannot delete, and you cannot minimize. This here is our main communication to all of our agents in our MLS. So whenever we feel something is important for you to know, we will set out an alert. It'll pop up on your screen like this, and there are three options that you can do with this news or alert. You can print it. You will click on I will read this later, or I have read this. If you click on I will read this later, this little bubble will disappear into the news and alerts widget until you log out of Matrix and log back in again, and then it will continue to pop up on your screen until you click on I have read this. Once you click on I have read this, it will stay in the news and alerts widget until its expiration date. But because each one of these do have an expiration date, there is no saved history in Matrix for the news and alerts. So we give you the option to print something if you feel it's something you need to reference at a later date. This one here is the updated rules and regulations. This might be something you might want to print because these are just updating all of the rules that we have here for our MLS. All right, so if you hover over the banner of any one of these widgets and you see a little X, that means you can actually delete the widget completely off of your screen. If it's something you don't use and you don't want to see it on your screen, you can delete it from the screen. However, where those little widgets will go is in this additional widget. You'll notice that this additional widget does not have an X. That is because this widget cannot ever be deleted. It can be moved around and it can be minimized or rolled out, but you cannot ever delete this because this is where any of the other widgets that you do delete off of the screen will go into. If you accidentally deleted something from your screen and you logged in and you don't see it anymore, this is where you'll go to look for that widget. To bring it back out, you'll just hover over the one you want to bring out, left click your mouse and drag and drop it wherever you want it to be. Just going to bring out my other widget here. Put that where I put it. Okay. Now, there are three other widgets here that I did not go over in the beginner's class, mainly because these three are ones that you may or may not use as an agent. It's completely up to you. But the very first one here is My Stats. So I'm going to bring these out really quick here. Okay. The first one here is the My Stats widget. If you go to the top of your screen and you go to your Stats tab, there are some preset stats that statistical reports that you can run And there might be many different reasons why you would want to run this. But if you browse through these, there are preset ones that you can go through and print out. These are the most widely used. These down below are my presets. So these are actual searches that I have run in the past that I use the Customize tab for. If you want to customize a specific statistical report, you click on the Customize tab, click on a time frame. You can customize a different statistic from a list, and you can group it by different list price, month, primary year, and sale price. You can choose county, area, school district, a price, a type of property. You can even go to bedrooms and bathrooms as well. So if you wanted to do that, you'll add in any information that you want, click generate, and now you've generated a new statistical report, and that would then show up under the My Presets. So anytime you do a statistical report, it gets saved to your home screen under the My Stats widget. So you can utilize this widget to quickly go back to any of those reports that you might have drawn up and generated. One of the other widgets I did not mention in the beginner's class is the My Carts widget. When you are doing a search in Matrix, let's just go to our search tab here. When you do a search in Matrix and you're putting in your information into the criteria, and you click on your results. Now from the results screen here, if you want to save this search to look at it later, like you just did your search, you pulled up your results, but you don't have time to go through all the properties right now, you do have an option to save it to a cart. If you go to the bottom of the page where it says Actions, Refine, Save, you click on Carts. If this is a search for a specific client, you can choose a client from your contact list to add this to. If this is a brand new cart, you can click on New Cart, cart name, if it's a contact, and then you can save it. If the contact is you and you just are doing your own search, you could just put your own contact in there. But that would be if you were starting a brand new cart. If you already have a cart for a specific client, you would then be able to add to that cart. So let me just show you. I don't know who I have cart. There we go. Okay, so I'm so sorry. So you do have to highlight the ones you want to add to your cart. If you want to add all of them to your cart, you would just click on Add To, and it would add to this cart that you already have. If you wanted to start a new cart, you just click on that cart, pick a name. Oops. Let me just pick somebody different. Oh, well, let me do that because I already did that. Okay. Oh, let me change this name here. So sorry. I don't know why this is not working for me. I apologize. There she is. Okay. And then you would just click on Save. So now you have a new cart saved for this contact. Now, if you go back to your home page, you go to where it says My Carts, and there's your new cart that you just created. You click on it, and now it takes you back to that search, and now you can go through it at your leisure whenever you have time. And the other widget that I didn't show you in the beginner class is the contact requests. If you go to the My Settings tab, under your Hello tab, you click on Settings and you click on My Information. And under where the tab that says Agent Web Page, if you set up an agent web page through Matrix, you would actually enable this, and you would add in your URL, your page title, and just you can do anything with this. You can add videos, you can add maps, you can add pictures, slogans, whatever it is you want to add to that. You can specify specific map areas that you service, however you want to set up your agent web page. If you do that though, and you put it out there, there is a little tab when you open up your web page, and if anybody else is looking at that web page, there is an option here to sign up with you. When someone clicks on that and they enter their information, let me just move a couple things so I can click off of this page. When they click on that and they enter their information, you will then get their name and a notice here under the contact requests. So that means that they're contacting you and they're waiting for you to get back to them. Okay, so that was just a little added thing that I have with the home screen and the widgets that are in there. Excuse me. Just a reminder too, on the note of searching, the asterisk key is a very important part of any types of searches that you do in Matrix. The reason being is Matrix is a very specific system. Whatever you type in to search for, Matrix will only show you exactly what you typed in, exactly how you spelled it, if you abbreviated it, and whatever you type in, it will search for. Using your asterisk key though is going to get around that in a way to give you more out of that search. Because some people are going to abbreviate things, some people are going to spell them out, some people are going to word things differently than you may word them. So by picking out keywords and key phrases, or typing in what you do know for sure and using the asterisk key as the X factor in an equation. So for example, if you were looking for 123 Main Street, you'll type in 123 Main, because you know definitely it's Main. You're not sure if it's going to be an abbreviated version of the second part or spelled out, or if it's even avenue or drive. So you'll just type in 123 Main with an asterisk right after the word Main. So that tells Matrix now, I want you to search for everything that starts with 123 Main. What comes after it? I want you to give me everything. If you put the asterisk before a word or phrase, you're then telling Matrix to search for everything that ends with that word or phrase. And if you put an asterisk before and after a word or phrase, Matrix will then search for anything that contains that word or phrase. So that's just a little reminder about using the asterisk key when you search. The other thing too is I'm going to go to a search and I'm going to go to my results screen. Let me narrow this down here. There we go. That's good. When you do a search and you add your criteria into your search screen and then you click on your results, it takes you to that agent single line view, which is a grid screen view. So within this view, there is a lot of information. In the beginner's class, I do go over the fact that there are several icons that you can click on with each property and go directly to whatever is in those icons. There's more information all the way over here with more columns that you can get more information from and more icons at the very end. But what I don't go over in a beginner's class, as I'm going to tell you now, is you can actually customize this page. If you see columns in here that you don't like or you don't use very often and you don't know what to do with them, you can get rid of columns and you can also add different columns. So if days on market is something that you want to see, or if average sale price, something like that, if that's something you want to see in on this page, you can do that. You can also move each one of these columns around to fit a better look for you that's customized to you. The way you will move a column is you'll go to any one of the columns in the top banner until you see that crosshairs. Just like anything else that you move around, you'll left click on your mouse and you'll move it wherever you want it to be on this page. If you want your list number to be the very first thing that you see next to the icons, you can move that too. Any one of these columns that you see on this list, you can move. The other thing you can do, like I said, you can delete any one of these columns, and you can also add other columns that are not here. To do that, you're going to hover over the banner of any one of the columns, left click your mouse, and this little window will pop up here. If you want to change the alignment of the wording in the column, you can do that by clicking on alignment. To remove a column, you'll just simply click on remove column. And I'm removing county, so I just got to remember that. So if you want to remove a column, you can do that, and it takes that column completely off the page. If you want to add a column, you'll left click on any banner and click on insert column. And you get a list of all types of things that you can add to this screen, and there are a lot. So if you are looking for certain information that you want to add to this screen, just simply go through here and see if that information is available. You can even type it in the search box here to get to it quicker, or you can search through the multiple choice. So once you find the one that you want to add, I'm going to go back to where my county is because that's what I took off. No, I don't want all those. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to my county and put that one back in. But if you want to add something, all you'll do is just highlight on the one that you want to add and click apply. And it adds that column back onto your screen or a new column that you don't have currently. Now, if you start moving this screen around, you get it to where you really like it and you want to save this for every search that you do, you can do that by going to the top of this screen and finding this little gear icon. Click on that, and then you'll click on set the current display to as my default. So you can do that, and now every time you pull up a results screen with any search that you do, it'll look exactly the way you have selected it to look. If you want to go back to the system default, you just click on reset to system search defaults, and you'll click on that, and it'll take it back to the way it was originally set up in the system. So that's how you can save it and how you can take it back to the way it used to be. But that is how you can add columns, remove columns, and move the columns around. Okay, so now the other thing I'm going to show you too that you can do with your results screen, you can actually print out directions when you select certain properties for a client. So if you and a client have decided on a couple of properties that your client wants to view, all you have to do from your results screen is choose the ones that your client is going to want to visit, however many you want them to be, however many you can squeeze in a day, totally up to you. You can go ahead and schedule viewings from here when you select them through showing time. You can also print out directions for your client. So if you click on directions, it's going to take you to this little page here, and it'll automatically put these properties in order. However, you can change this order. You don't have to follow this the way they have it set up. So if you first click on this, you're going to see this one's going to be the first property, second, third, and fourth. If you go down below here, it's going to give you turn-by-turn instructions on how to get to each one of these properties. If you don't want to go in this direction, you do not have to. So if you want to move these around, you can do that by hovering over whatever property is first, second, third, or fourth, and clicking on the arrows next to that. If you click on the down arrow, it's going to move it down. If you click on the up arrow, of course, it's going to move it up. And you can change the order that these are in by doing that. Now, once you change the order or do anything with the directions in here, each time you change something, you will have to come back down below the map and click on directions again. And then it will set the directions according to how you move these around. So the other thing that you can do is also add a start and add a stop. So if your client wants to come from either their house or their workplace or somewhere to get to that first property, you can give them directions from there as well. So all you'll need to do is below where all of the houses are situated, you'll click on Add Start. And when you do that, it takes you back up to the top here, and you're going to type in the address that your client will be starting from. I always add a zip code because you don't know how many roads have the same name in certain areas. So I just always add a zip code just to narrow that down. And once you type in the address, you hit enter. Now you have a custom start. To add a custom stop, you'll click on Add Stop and do the same thing. If your client wants to go back to that same address, you can do that. And it'll give them directions from the last property that you view back to the original location that they wanted to go to. Hit enter again, and now you've added a stop. Now, once you've done that, you will have to come back over here and click on directions again. And now it's going to resituate those locations on the map, and it'll give you new turn-by-turn instructions on how to get to each property, and then back to your start and stop places. Now, the other thing that you can do with these, you can either print these instructions out and hand them to your client, or you can email them to your client. The one thing you cannot do with these instructions, though, is send them to a GPS. The system is not capable of doing that. So it's either print or email, but it is a nice feature to have because then you don't have to worry about your clients finding their way to each one of the properties. So that is how you can create instructions for your client. Or I'm sorry, directions for your client. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to, when you have an auto email set up for a client, I'm going to show you what you can do to, if you ever need to change the settings of those auto emails, or you needed to change the criteria of any one of those auto emails. Also, if you wanted to delete the auto email altogether, or even just disable it so your client doesn't receive any more properties for a while. I'm going to show you how you can do all of that and where to go to do that. So when you have an auto email set up for a client, the way that you can view your auto emails is to go to the My Matrix tab at the top of the screen. This My Matrix tab is where you would go for anything that you input into Matrix. So I'm going to go down to where it says auto email, click on that, and a list of auto emails will come up that you have created. You'll have past ones, you'll have recent ones, depending on how it's set up in here. But you have your status, subject, contact name, the schedule. That is actually how you set it up, how often your client will receive them. And if your client's ever visited their portal, it'll show you that under portal visit. Now, to change any settings or the criteria for any one of these, you'll go to the little drop-down arrow at the very beginning of each one of those auto emails, click on that, and it'll open up a new window here. And in that window, you'll see different tabs. You'll see settings, criteria, results, date since, market update, open in one home, and delete auto email. To change the settings of the auto email, which would mean changing how often your client wants to receive them, if you want to either enable it or disable it, that's what you will do to go to settings. So you'll click on that. It takes you to your auto email settings page. In here, you can change whatever it is you need to change. Here is where you'll go to under the settings section, If your client comes back to you and says, hey, you know, I want to take a break from looking at properties, can you just not send me any more properties for a while? That's fine. You'll come to your settings page, click on disable, and now your client is not going to receive any more emails from you for the time period that they don't want to. What that does though is it will save the criteria that you created for your client though. So if they ever want to come back and say, okay, you know what, I want to start looking again, all you simply have to do is go into the settings, click on enable, and now they will start receiving any emails that are coming through. This is also where you'll go to change how often your client wants to receive those emails. You can change the messages, edit your signature, change a contact or whatever change information that you want to for that contact. You can do any of that. So anything that you would change in this page though, you'll click on save at the bottom, and now those settings have been changed and saved. Going back to our little drop down arrow here, if you want to change the criteria of the person's search, of your client's search, instead of going to settings, you'll click on criteria. And it will then take you back to your criteria page that you already have set up for this auto email. And now in this page, you can make whatever changes you want. Just to refresh your memory, to deselect anything that you already have selected in a multiple choice box, you will have to use your control key on your keyboard or command key if you have an Apple, and then left click your mouse on whichever one you want to deselect. Okay, if you want to add more to a search in a multiple search box, same thing. You'll hold on your control key or command key and then click on whatever it is you want to add. You can change a price range up here. You can change bedrooms, bathrooms, whatever it is you need to change. Just make sure you click on save at the bottom of the page after you've made your changes. And now that criteria will then be saved for that auto email. It will automatically take you back to your settings page though. So if you don't need to change anything in the settings page, just simply click save again. And now the criteria and the settings have been saved. Now, if you want to delete an auto email altogether, meaning your client maybe found their property that they want, they don't want these, they are never going to search with you again, or at least for the time being, you can go under the drop down arrow and scroll all the way over to the end of the tabs and click on delete auto email. And it will ask you if you're sure you want to do this, and you'll click OK. And now that whole auto email has been deleted. If that client ever comes back to you and wants to do searching again, you will have to start a whole brand new email for them. So that is how you can change any of the settings or the criteria, and how you can disable and delete your auto emails. Just to reiterate what I've said before about the auto emails, when you're setting up a client for an auto email, I always tell people, make sure you tell your clients, do not disable your own email from the emails that I send you. When they opt out of those emails, that means they will not be able to receive any emails from Matrix ever again until they opt back in. It is a much more dragged out process to get your client to opt back in to receiving emails again. And it's not just from you, the personal agent, it's from Matrix. So any agent that they would work with from there on out within Matrix, they will not be able to receive emails. So just encourage them, hey, if you want to stop looking, you're not going to hurt my feelings. If you want to switch agents, whatever, just don't opt out of the emails. Let me know. I can disable the emails, I can delete the emails, and you will not receive any more. So just a little side note there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to go over, and because this is an additional class, I am going to be jumping around a little bit, but just to, the next thing I'm going to go over is our Market Reports tab. The Market Reports tab is actually where you're going to go to pull up an agent production report for your own production, and also a ranking report to see where you rank within the office that you work in. So you'll click on your Market Reports tab at the top of the page. Just to let you know too, you will see a lot of stuff on my screen that will not be on yours, but what you will see is ranking reports and agent production report. The ranking report is going to give you an overview of your production and ranking with the other agents within your office. And your production report is going to give you a more detailed view of your own production only your production. So to pull up a ranking report, you'll just simply click on ranking report. You can put in a specific date range. Any of this other information, since you're logging in, it's only going to pull up your information and with your own office. As an agent, you're not going to be able to pull up any information about other offices or other agents. So you really don't have to do anything else in here, but you can select a specific property type in a county if you want to do that, or a zip code. But just pull up a generalized production report within, ranking report within your office. You'll click on Generate Report. Now this is giving me everybody in the MLS, so it's going to take a little longer than your report would take, but depending on the size of your office, it'll take either longer or less time to pull up. But this is what a basic ranking report would look like. You would have your agents' names that are within your office. These would be all their transactions. This is their volume, average, and market share. So that is how you pull up a ranking report. Let me cancel out of here. So now an agent production report, though, is going to look a little different. So when you're logged in as yourself, you will only be able to choose a specific date range, and then you'll click on Generate Report. And this, I'm not an agent, so just so you know, I don't have anything here, but this is what a basic agent production report would look like. You have all of your different production sections here. So if you have, this is going to show you, the very top one is going to show you the total sold throughout the entire MLS. That's what mine says. You'll have how many that you listed and how many that you sold. If you listed and sold and it was sold in-house. If it was listed and co-op sold. If someone listed it in-house and then you sold it. If it was co-op listed and you sold. And if you co-listed and co-sold, it will give you all of those numbers here, and then the totals will be down below here. So that is your agent production report and your ranking reports under the Market Reports tab. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to go over is how to do a CMA. A lot of people, when you get a listing, producing a CMA is actually one of the more important things that you can do, because you're going to give your client comparisons of other properties in the area that closely match their property, and you can come up with a number of where you want to price it. So to start a CMA, I find that it's the easiest way to start it is to go into your search tab, choosing the property type that your client's property for sale is going to be. And you're going to do just like you would do a regular search, except you are searching your client's property. That is going to be the subject property here. So what you're going to want to do in this search page is start out by choosing a couple of different statuses. I usually do active, sold, expired, and under contract. You can add any other statuses that you want. It doesn't matter. Those I feel like are the most important ones that you might want to add. So that's going to give you 4 different statuses. Next, you're going to want to do a type of property. You want to make sure that if your client's property is a residence single family, if it's a townhouse, if it's a modular home, you want to make sure that you are comparing apples to apples as closely as you can. So let's just say your client's property is a townhouse. Now you're going to choose the county and the area and the school district. We all know prices can be very different based on area. So wherever your client's property is located, that's where you want to get your comparisons from. So if they're in, let's just say Allegheny North, and if you want to type in the areas that are close by to your client's property, you can then choose the ones that are the closest. I'm using my workplace here as my base, so that is why I am picking these areas around here. Okay. And I think that pretty much covers around here. Okay. So you definitely want to choose the areas that your client's property is going to be near. Next thing you want to do, you do not want to add a price, but you do want to put in how many bedrooms and bathrooms are within your client's property. So if your client's property has 3 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, or 2 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, whatever they are, as I said, you want to try to compare as much as you can apples to apples. So if your client's property has 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and 1 partial, if they only have 2 baths and no partial, or whatever the case may be, you can choose to put in parking spaces if that's what you want to do as well. So if there are at least 4 parking spaces, meaning a 2-car garage and places to put other cars, you can put that in there as well. Does not mean that any of those spaces might be in there. So in the regular listings. So if you get a 0 match, same thing as whenever you're doing a search for a client. If you get a 0 match, take whatever information you just put in there to give you that 0 match, and then you will get more matches back again, okay? So it's same thing as, like I said, when you're doing a regular search for someone, you need to play around with this to make sure you're getting the most out of the search for your client. Again, same thing with regular searches. Most of the non-required fields are features in a property. So by adding these into your CMA, you may get less results. So just be very cautious of what you use down here as well. But once you have all the information in that you feel most closely matches your client's property, you have enough matches down here that you can work with. You're going to click on your results screen or on your results tab. And now what you're going to do is you're going to go through, and yes, this does take some work, but you'll then go through these properties and you're going to want to choose at least a couple of each status. So you'll go through them, figure out the ones that closest match your client's property and select them. So let's just say I went through these 2 closely match in the active. Let's see, these 2 closest match the solds for my client's property. There's a lot of solds. Let's see if we get some other, there we go. Let's just say these 2 closest match in the expired. And I'll give myself 2 under contract as well. Okay. So, like I said, you would have already done more research than I just did, but you would find the ones that closest match your clients. Choose 2 of each or 3 of each, whatever it is you want to do. And now once you had your choices at the very bottom of the page, you can do a CMA 2 different ways. If you want to just give your client a brief overview before you do the full CMA, you can click on the quick CMA down here at the bottom of the page using the information that you selected there. And it will give your client a very brief synopsis of the comparisons that you made. This is nothing in depth. It doesn't have all of the information, but it'll give your client an idea of a median price and maximum and lowest. So you can do that for the time being. But when you want to go to a full CMA, you're going to go to where it says CMA at the bottom of the page. You'll click on that. And this next page here is going to show you several different tabs at the top of the screen. So each one of those tabs will need to be either filled in, or you'll have to go over them to make sure everything is correct. Of course, the very first page is your start page. You're going to want to add your client's name. And you can add a description here if you want, but once you have that in there, you can click on the next tab. And this tab here is pages. This is the pages that you select that you might want to be in your CMA. So to select those pages, you'll click on each one of these available pages on the left-hand side, and it will add the pages to your selected pages. If this is the very first CMA that you've ever done, I always recommend selecting all of the pages first, because if you once you go through your CMA when it's all finished, if there are pages in there that you don't want to show your client, you then have the option to go back to your Pages tab and delete the ones that you don't want in your CMA. So you would just highlight on whatever one you want to delete, click the red X in the middle here, and it deletes it from your pages. So the next tab over is your subject page. This is where you're going to go to add your subject information. You can type in the subject information manually. If this was a previous listing before and it was your listing, you can choose to fill from across property. So you would put the old MLS number here and click fill. You can search for a cross property listing to autofill from. So if you wanted to do a search to find the property, maybe it was sold previously before, you can do that. Most people, I would say, they would use the field to type it in manually, but let's just show you that page because this is the page that needs to be filled in. So all of this information is all about the subject property. You just need to fill in all the fields here. And whatever information you have on that property, you'll fill those in. There are some custom fields that you can add to it also if you needed to. But once you have that all, once you have that all in there, you'll then upload a photo of the subject property here, add any remarks. You can even do a map location if you want. But once you have this page filled in, you can then move over to the cover page. Now this subject cover page is it's going to be the picture of your subject property. The agent information here, you can actually enter this information into your settings tab and excuse me, set that up that way prior to creating your CMA, or you can just click on edit my information here and add that information from here. And then you'll have your contact information added into here as well. Now the next tab over, you shouldn't have to do anything with because we did the search first. So if you don't go through your search tab first and search for those properties prior to starting your CMA, then you can do your search from here. But since we've already done that, I feel like this is a little bit of an easier way. Now you don't have to do anything here because your comparables are already in there. The next tab over is a map tab. I don't know. Nope. Okay, so this one is not showing up. None of the pages selected and stuff. Oh, okay, because I took out the page. I'm so sorry. Whenever I was showing you how to delete a page, I must have deleted the map page. Okay, so let me just add the map page back in. Now I can click on my map tab. And it'll show me the location of all of the properties on the map of my subject property and my comparables. Adjustments tab. This is a tab that a lot of agents will ask us about. But basically any of the adjustments that can be made over here should only be made by appraisers. Unless you have a vast knowledge of the pricing of certain things in the market. So if somebody has a large deck added onto it, if you have a vast knowledge of how much that deck would be worth to add onto the property, then great, you can try to add that stuff in here. However, if you really don't have a clue about how to do that, I would just leave that page alone altogether. If you have somebody appraising it, they can go in here and appraise it for you and change that information for you. But basically, I would just leave it alone and stick with the numbers that you have here. The next tab over is pricing. So this is where you and your client will then come up based on the other information of what you want to price their property as. You can put a suggested price in here, and then as I said, you'll then discuss that with your client after you show them this information. You can add any notes here that you would like as well. And the very last tab is the Finish tab. You click on this, and now your CMA is technically finished. And if you want to view the CMA before you do anything else with it, you click on View CMA. Takes a few minutes to load. Okay. So now it's going to show you every page in your CMA that you put. Now this is where you're going to want to go through all the pages and make sure that the information that you have in here is what you want to show to your client. If you see a page in here that you don't particularly want your client to see, then you can go back to your page, you'll close out of this, go back to your Pages tab, take out whatever you want to take out. So this is going to be everything for your comparative market analysis to show your client. So if everything looks great, you can come back here and you can save this CMA, and you can then email it to your client, to yourself, whatever you want to do, but then you will then go over this information with your client. So that is how you can create a CMA. And again, that actually concludes our class for the day. But again, I want to show you under your Hello tab, this is your Settings tab, and this is where you will go to set up your CMA cover sheet, a header and footer for printing purposes, your email signature if you want to add an agent web page, and also your One Home branding. The other thing I want to show you under the settings as well is portal notification settings. This actually notifies you of anything your client does when you send them any auto emails or any straight up emails of a property. You can then be notified when they visit their portal, when they favorite something, if they remove something, and so on. You can do it by email or text. If you do a text, you will have to put your phone number here and your cellular provider. Click Save at the bottom whenever you're all finished, and that will save those notifications for you. The other thing underneath here is our Help tab. Very, very nice feature here. It has a lot of information in it. You can download training guides, you can look at video tutorials and specific FAQs for certain subjects in Matrix. All right. So if there's any questions, you can feel free to ask, because I am going to unmute everyone. I don't see anything typed in the chat box, so feel free to ask if you have a question.
Hi.
Hi.
When you were doing the CMA, you didn't choose contingency, like when a property is under contingency. Why not?
I was just choosing general ones. I'm not an agent. So if that, you can add whatever you want. You can choose as many of those statuses as you want. So yeah, if contingency status is what you want in your CMA, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I was just showing you generalized ideas.
I got it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, you said this is recorded. When will this be available?
This recording will probably be available within a couple of days. I did a recording yesterday as well for the basics class. So